Welcome back. How we doing? I got the squeaky chair. Yeah, it's still squeaking. I thought about getting some WD-40, but I like the squeak. So I'm sticking with the squeak. Because sometimes I enjoy being a Muppet. So this is another reaction video. I did the difference between the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and England. And I subscribed to CPG. Is that what it is? I think it is. CGP. That's what it is. Subscribe to him. And today, when I was looking around YouTube to see how everything was going, this video popped up in my feed, and it's called The American Empire. And, you know, most people around the world know that we have an empire, but a lot of the people here don't, surprisingly. They think everything's just red, white, and blue freedom, just like the shirt. But it's more complicated like that, like most things are. But this is, I wanted to see this because maybe there's something in here I don't know about. I probably do, but you never know. The last video was very informative, and come along this ride with me. Let's check this video out. Let's see how bad we really are. Or maybe good, depending on what this guy says. Let's do it. Here we go.
The United States is, shockingly, a bunch of states that are united. It was just 13 to start with, but as time marched on, the border marched west, bringing us to today and the 48 contiguous states, plus Alaska and Hawaii. Usually drawn in these little boxes, not to scale, because Hawaii is in the middle of a vast ocean of deadly nothingness, and Alaska is monstrous.
Nothingness.
Unlike other unions,
where
members
what do you say
can
about,
leave if they so usually drawn in
Alaska?
these little boxes, not to scale, because Hawaii is in the middle of a vast ocean of deadly nothingness, and Alaska is monstrous. Unlike other unions, where members can leave if they so choose, statehood is eternal, even for you, Texas. Now, how the federal government works is a story for another time, but at the moment all you need know is that Congress, where national laws are written, is made of representatives sent from the states. Now, there are some non-state gaps not visible on this map. The first is Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, which is a stateless limit.
That's right. We actually, I say we, I'm not from D.C., but I'm from Maryland, which is this surrounding area right here. If you go to Washington, D.C., and you see cars that have Washington, D.C. license plates, they actually have a slogan on them, which was a slogan during the War of Independence from you guys, if you're watching from across the pond. The slogan is taxation without representation, which was a popular slogan during the Revolutionary War. And they have this slogan on the license plates in DC. And the reason they have that is because they are taxed. They are actually one of the, I don't think I'm wrong. I think they're one of the most taxed people in the United States if they live in Washington, D.C. And the irony of that is the District of Columbia, which is what it's called, does not have any representation in Congress at all. So that's why they put that slogan on their license plates. It's kind of as a joke. I don't think they're like super angry about that if they're Washingtonians. You know, I've never heard of, you know, people from Washington, D.C. like, you know, pounding on a desk and demanding that they want representation in Congress or anything like that. But, yeah, just a quick note. Don't know if you found that interesting. If not, sorry for being a Muppet.
Sent from the states. Now, there are some non-state gaps not visible on this map. The first is Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, which is a stateless limbo land between Maryland and Virginia. As D.C. is a city without a state, it puts her under the control of Congress, meaning that all the other states get the final say on how D.C. is run, while she doesn't get a vote in anything. It didn't matter when this District of Columbia was basically uninhabited, but since more people live in D.C. now than do in a couple couple of states, it's an uncomfortable arrangement. The other gaps on this map are the American Indian reservations, which are numerous. The United States kind of administers them while sort of treating them as foreign nations, which means you could draw the state boundaries to look like this, because the reservations are kind of apart from those states.
Yeah.
But the American Indian reservations are such a full of asterisks, oh so sensitive situation, it's also better as a story for another time.
Yeah, that's a very sensitive subject around here. I guess in Florida, I live in Florida, the most famous native tribe would be the Seminoles. There were some Cherokee too, but the Seminoles were all over Florida. There's not very much of them now. I mean, like other Native American tribes, sadly. But even the Florida State University named their mascot as the Seminoles. It makes me wonder, how the Native Americans feel about that name. Because my former team, Washington, had to change their name because they used to be the Redskins, and they found that to be a derogatory term. Even though I love the name, and I know some Native Americans love the name, but some didn't. It's one of those debatable things. But yeah, I've been to a couple reservations in out west. I went to a couple in Montana, and one of them seemed like pretty sad, but the other one I went to, I can't remember the tribe names because I was like 14. One of them I went to seemed pretty sad, but the other one, everyone was friendly. It was really cool to see that. Anyway, let's continue. I'm pausing this too much.
Gaps aside, the continent and Hawaii is mostly straightforward, but there's more than just these United States. When the US ran out of lands to manifest destiny, she learned from the best and territorified a whole bunch of islands.
Learn from the best,
Puerto Rico,
I like that.
An organized, unincorporated territory of the US. This means she's self-governing to some extent, and that all of the US Constitution doesn't automatically apply on the island. Now, 3.7 million people live in Puerto Rico, which is 91% of the people living on US territorial islands, and more people than live in 21 of the states.
Really?
And the US treats Puerto Rico as a state in almost all but
I didn't know it was
which
that
possibly
populous.
soon she will be anyway, bringing the number of stars to a nice even 51. But Puerto Rico isn't the only organized unincorporated territory. There's also Guam, which was acquired in the Spanish-American War, along with Puerto Rico. There's the Northern Mariana Islands, taken from Japan during World War II, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, taken from nobody. Denmark sold her. The people in these territories are American citizens. In most ways, the territories are just like D.C. Congress can override their local governments, and they don't have representation because no state-tation. But otherwise, it's America. Actually, the territories and DC do get to elect congressional representatives who attend all of the meetings, but just can't vote in any of them.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so I was wrong. So they can elect representatives, but they can't vote. How shitty is that? You can attend the meet. It's basically like having like a child in the room. Be like, yeah, watch and observe, but don't say anything, kid. Keep your mouth shut. That's... Oh. I mean, why even do that? That's absurd. It kind of makes me mad for Washingtonians, but like I said before, I've never seen them, complain about any of it, so... If there's a Washingtonian watching, let me know about that. Because that would be interesting. If there's, a Washington, D.C. independence movement or statehood movement. I think there might be a statehood movement, but it seems more politically driven than actual, the community of DC. But I don't know. All right, let's keep going.
Worst job in the world or the best job in the world, depending on the kind of person who gets it. Also, since votes for president are based on state population, citizens in the territories can't vote, which, as mentioned in a previous video, leads to the weird situation that Americans who live in foreign countries can vote for president in the state where they last lived, while Americans who live in America, just in a territory, cannot. Along with these
Did not know
unincorporated
that.
organized
That's
territories,
interesting.
there are also unincorporated unorganized territories. Actually, quite a few. They are Howland Island, Navissa Island, Wake Island, Jarvis Island, Johnson Atoll, Kingman Reef, Midway Reef, Serranilla Bank, and Bajo Nuevo Bank. Most of these were acquired under the delightfully named Guano Islands Act.
I didn't... Hold on.
Navissa Island, Wake Island, Jarvis Island, Johnson Atoll, Kingman Reef, Midway Reef, Serranilla Bank, and Bajo Nuevo.
This right here. The Navassa Island, Serranilla Island Bank. And what is that? Bajo Nuevo Bank? It's been... Yeah, Bajo Nuevo Bank. Those got to be so small. But those are ones I didn't know about. The ones in the Pacific, I knew most of them. But those ones, those are underneath Cuba and basically underneath Cuba and right next to the Dominican Republic. I guess that's to keep an eye on Cuba. I'm not sure because, you know, we have really shaky relations with them because of their communist and socialist history. But that's it's interesting. I did not know about those. I know about the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is, you know, that's kind of weird too. There's the British Virgin Islands too. But these islands, I've never even heard of these, and I didn't even know they were there. But, you know, there's tons of islands over there, so it makes sense. If you know anything about those, let me know. Let's continue.
Nuevo Bank. Most of these were acquired under the delightfully named Guano Islands Act when
Guano!
the US decided she wanted a bunch of islands filled
Bat
with
droppings!
bird poop. No, really, the US just straight up wrote a law to declare that those islands were now hers. Unorganized in this system means there's no local government on these islands because no one lives in these places. Some of them are barely above the waterline. Now, the weird category is unorganized incorporated territories.
That should be something that Al Murray talks about. Like, you know, we actually have islands with people on them. You Americans don't, you dummies.
Is one, the Palmyra Atoll, claimed by the US after the totally peaceful annexation of Hawaii. They're currently an uninhabited nature reserve, but incorporated means the US Constitution applies here to who? The Palmyra Atoll is like that question about a tree falling in the forest. If there are no people for the Constitution to apply to, does the Constitution still apply? Yes. This means if a foreigner gives birth on this uninhabited strip and doesn't die from the nature, their child would be an American citizen. Now, this category is empty. It's where territories go before they become states, when basically the Constitution fully applies, and it was last occupied by Hawaii. We've gone full circle, but there is one territory we've left out. American Samoa, home to 55,000
Samoa,
people.
yes.
Uniquely,
Home of the
American
Rock.
Samoans don't get to be citizens, but instead are American nationals. They can live in the states, but can't vote in presidential elections unless they go through the immigration process like any foreigner, even though in all other ways they're indistinguishable from citizens. This is unique to American Samoa, and there seems to be no reason for it other than that Congress hasn't gotten around to updating the system.
Or it could because, guess what? The Samoans are special. The Samoans are definitely special. There's a lot of Samoans in American football. In all kinds of sports. And there's a lot of Samoans in professional wrestling. The Rock is a prime example. If you smell... You know, so maybe The Rock got them that special status. They're just not telling us about it. Who knows? If you know about that, let me know. I'm loving these videos by this guy. He has so many subscribers, like over 5 million. It's insane.
American Samoa is in the no government category, like it's Lord of the Flies over there, which it obviously isn't. So American Samoa with its organized government needs to go over here, and Puerto Rico, essentially a state, needs to go over here, and the empty Palmyra Atoll needs to go over here. But don't hold your breath for the paperwork to make its way through Congress anytime soon. So that's all the territory of the
That'll
United
take
States, but there
years.
is one final
They can't
thing
get
to talk
anything
about.
done quick.
3 tiny nations: Palau, the Marshall Islands, and the Federated States of Micronesia. This last has the convenient domain name .fm, first choice of quality podcasts everywhere. Hint, hint, click, click. These are separate countries with UN seats and everything, but they have a, quote,
nice ad
compacted
drop.
association with the United States. The deal is that the US provides economic support and military defense to the compact nations in return for being allowed to build military bases there. Also, compact citizens can
I know
live
about
and
that.
work in the United States and vice versa. Americans wanting to live abroad, you have 3 easy options. So that's America, 50 states, many reservations, 1 district, lots of island territories, some even with people, and 3 tiny associated
Some even
countries.
with people. Oh, good video. I like that a lot. So basically we're bad at capturing islands because most of them don't have any people on them. You know, because I get, you know, looking at them, it looks like you don't want to be stuck there. It looks like something out of Castaway. But that was definitely interesting. I always thought that the District of Columbia did not have representatives in Congress. Apparently they do, but they're not allowed to vote, which is insane to me. I would be, if I was a Washingtonian, I would be so mad about that. You know, because voting is your, you know, you're exercising your political power. That's the only way many of us can do that. So that was very interesting. And the Samoa thing was very interesting too. I've never been to Samoa. I do want to go. All those island places in the Pacific look beautiful. But I know the Samoans are too good at 2 things: football and professional wrestling. So maybe they're good at rugby too. I don't know anything about rugby. But anyway, that was very educational. There was several things in there I did not know, or you know, the DC thing I was wrong about to a certain degree. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. All right, thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something about America. Go subscribe to this guy, CPG. I keep messing this up. CGP Grey. Go subscribe to him because I'm probably going to do more reaction videos to this, but I might just browse around on my own time looking at some of this stuff. Because this is, for instance, the one in the top right corner, because we seem to be talking about Texas a lot lately. And this one says, "Can Texas secede from the Union?" Maybe I'll do that one next. But yeah. All right, guys. Like, subscribe, do whatever you want. It's a free world. Have a great day. I hope to see you again next time. Peace.